and stay out of sight. What will people think if they see me talking to a vagabond? Been a pleasure. Take care.
Can we do something about the price?
Well, we can try it.
Since it's...
Come now, just... See now? I knew we...
Some kind of disease has taken hold in Memória. Your Hanker said that you might be able to advise.
A disease, you say? How intriguing.
Intriguing? It's terrifying.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound uncaring.
All right. The important thing is whether you can help us.
I can't say at this point. I need to find out a little more. Tell me, has the whole village come down with it?
I expect so, or why would they be so fearful about it?
Memória? Isn't there a stud farm there? And what of the animals? Did they get infected too?
Yes, there's a stud farm. But I don't know about the animals.
Sorry. I mean to say it's most unusual. Do you know the symptoms?
Yes, more or less.
Excellent. I have several extensive volumes here in the library. Describe the epidemic, including the symptoms, and we could take some guidance there. Can you read?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So follow me to the scriptorium.
So, where shall we start?
Evidently there's something amiss in the digestive tract.
In the what?
The digestive tract, Henry.
Right.
The trouble lies between the mouth and the arsehole.
Uh-huh. Sure. Just so.
We can rule nothing out at this stage. You look in the Breviarium de Sickness Causa. It's a renowned manuscript from Salerno, written by one Johann of St. Paul.
But I don't know Latin.
Fortunately for you, our brother librarian is translating these momentous medical works into the common tongue, so you can still be of use. Study the breviary. I'll try the proof.
I think I have it.
Yes? And what do you make of it?
It's poisoning from tainted water.
Really? That sounds rather unlikely. But we shall have to prepare some medicine.
I could help with that.
Really?
Yes.
An ordinary fellow.
I'll get started right away.
I, meanwhile, shall head straight...
Memória.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, brother. There's one...
Out of...
Brother, is that you? We have to hitch up the sled.
Yes, the sled. Just you drink this and you'll be fine.
Is this holy water, brother?
It is. Drink some and give it to the others in the house too. Brother Nicodemus will come to check on you.
Don't speak to me.
What are you punishing me for?
So here I am. How are things looking?
It doesn't look good at all, my boy. Do you have the potion?
Yes, here it is.
I'll take 4 doses, you take the rest, and let's split up. I'll see to the Straw family, while you deal with Melikar's wife and the rest. They wouldn't let me go near that prisoner. They want him to suffer.
Please end this.
Despite his terrible
Please.
crimes, to treat a fellow
more
mortal
suffering.
soul like that.
Perhaps I'll be able to convince them. I promised I'd bring them help, and I've kept my word. They must let me go to him.
I hope so, but in the short while I've been here, I've found the locals to be rather stubborn.
Take care.
Why? Please.
Why are you waiting?
Lord, please. You're back?
Of course, I always keep my word.
I don't doubt that, naturally. Did you deliver my will?
It lies securely in the safekeeping of Father Fabian.
What a relief.
Don't worry, I brought a remedy from Sasa. Drink this regularly, you and everyone in the house.
A remedy. You have hands of gold, pure gold, my boy. God bless you.
What? No.
You're back?
Yes, and I have something to make you well again.
Good Lord above. Thank you for showing us your mercy.
Drink this, and give it to everyone in the house. I've also brought someone who will take care of you until you get back on your feet.
Thank you, Good Samaritan.
God be with you.
I need to talk to that captive.
Sorry, no.
But I'm Sir Radzig Cobbler's envoy, and I urgently need to question the captive.
I don't care if you're... If you want to talk to the captive, you have to get permission. Farewell.
Meg.
No. My God. No. Let me sleep. Go away. Leave me alone.
Mother of God.
My respects to you, sir.
We found out what could be the cause of the affliction.
And?
You should check where your water's coming from. Nicodemus and I think that it comes down to poisoning.
It'd be hard to poison the spring, but what about the well? Good lord, that's difficult to believe.
I have my suspicions.
The bastards weren't satisfied with killing young Straw. The fucking bastards! God be with you.
I brought some help, as promised. Will you let me see the prisoner?
I will let you, I will. Of course I will. My boy, if you've really brought a potion to rid us of this scourge, I'll let you do anything.
Ah, whether I've managed to rid you of the scourge, that remains to be seen. It'll take a few days before we know whether the potion worked.
I know, but even so, just the fact that someone cares, that means a lot to us.
Thanks, Sir Radzig. He's the one who decided to help you.
Sir Radzig is a goodly lord. I swear I'll never utter another word against him. Now open up that shed. God be with you.
God be with you, good sir.
Take care now.
Lord, please end this. Please, no more suffering. No.
Oh, leave me.
What are you punishing me for? Yeah, can you?
I've had enough.
No. Let me sleep.
God be with you, Henry.
Hal? You're a sight for sore eyes. What are you doing here?
It's good to see you too, Matthias. Sir Radzig sent me here to investigate the raid.
Sir Radzig? Looks like you've come up in the world, mate. You're here as his envoy?
He took me into his garrison.
Hal, the blacksmith's boy, in the service of his lordship. Who'd have ever thought it? My luck hasn't been so good.
You survived. That's something to thank God for.
True enough. If I were in your shoes, I'd get the hell out of here. There's some disease spreading.
Disease?
Folk are saying it's the plague. Whatever it is, it's bad. It started the day after the raid. First the horses got sick, then other animals, and now people are falling ill too.
Damn! Are you alright?
Well, at least I haven't caught the sickness.
But you've been hurt?
It happened during the raid. One of those damn bandits fell on me, horse and all. My arm's badly broken, but better than a broken neck.
Tell me about the raid.
What do you want to know?
I hear one of the raiders was taken captive. I'd like to question him.
Aye, old Melachar let him have it over the head with a flail, and now he's locked up in the barn. But be careful.
Why's that?
That fucker killed young Straw, and his old man's sharpening his sickle for him. Melachar still hasn't decided what to do with him.
I can tell you what he'll do with him. He'll hand him over to Sir Radzig's envoy. Me.
I doubt Melachar will let him go willingly. The folk here are baying for blood. Lives have been lost. First the raid, and now this plague. God knows what they'll do.
Can you describe the raiders?
I don't know. They came at dusk, so you couldn't see their faces. About 20 of them. They weren't humans, though. They spoke Czech.
You talked to them?
No. They were shouting at us. They were very sure of themselves to begin with, but when we hit them in the woods, they didn't look so brave.
I know you've got courage enough for any man, but how did a bunch of untrained villagers manage to hold off armed bandits?
One of the village lads caught sight of them coming through the woods and told Melachar, who roused the whole village, and everyone grabbed what they could. Pitchforks, axes, flails, and we went out to face them.
What? You mounted an assault against them?
Aye, and that was the key. It was the last thing those whoresons expected. A few of them still managed to break through to the village, probably wanted to torch it. But even the women here were armed with what they could find, and they took the bastards by surprise.
I hear one of the...
Aye, old...
Why's that?
That fucker...
I understand, old...
Good luck, then.
About this sickness. When did this plague start?
The day after the raid. The horses were lying down in the stable, so we knew something was up. By afternoon, they were all dead. Then other animals started getting sick, one after the other, and then people.
What are the signs that someone's getting sick?
I don't leave the house much, but folk complain of fever and shakes. Some are throwing their guts up, and others are spewing from the other end.
Has anyone died from it?
Aye, old Verba. Although he was already on his last legs, so no one knows for sure if it was the plague that got him. Either way, the animals are dropping like flies, and people will end up the same for sure.
Who's ill now?
I don't know. What with my arm the way it is, I don't go outdoors much. But I know Melachar and Straw have sick ones at home.
Can I ask you a bit about Memória?
I haven't been here long enough to learn much, but ask away.
Can you tell me something about Old Straw?
He's a woodcutter, tough as they come, and a hothead. He's been out of his mind since his boy died.
It's normal to grieve, eh?
Depends how you look at it. Folk are afraid he'll snap or drink himself to death. What's worse, his wife caught the sickness, and he's not taking care of her.
Where can I find this Straw?
When you take the main gate out of the stables, you'll see 2 cottages outside. Straw lives in the right-hand one.
What's Melikar like?
The locals look up to him. Smill used to be in charge here, but he was killed in Neuhof.
I know.
Sir Hanush hasn't had time to appoint a new vassal, and folk need someone to speak for them, so they picked Melikar.
Thank God you had someone here who could take the reins.
Aye.
What's Melikar like?
The locals...
I know.
Sir Hanush?
Since when do subjects govern a village in place of the Lord?
What can we do? If it weren't for Melikar, those bandits would have torched the place to the ground. The villagers won't follow anyone else.
Where does Melikar live?
When you take the main gate out of the stables, you'll see 2 cottages outside. Melikar lives in the left-hand one.
God be with you, good.
We found... And?
You should check where...
It'd be hard to...
I have my sister...
The bastards... May the Lord watch over you.
Now let's wait and see what happens.
Lord, please end this. Please, no more suffering.
Welcome back to the land of the living.
Who are you?
My name is Henry, and I'm investigating on behalf of Sir Radzig Kobyla.
Oh, I see. You'll have an easy job with me, boy.
How so?
I won't give you any problems.
That's sensible of you.
I'm a sensible man. Only I'd like to get it over quick and not keep the Rattay executioner busy too long, if you catch my drift.
I understand.
What do you want to know?
Everything. First, tell me who's behind all this. Who do you follow?
I follow the coin, lad. We all do.
That's not news to me, but who pays the coin?
I got my pay from Runt, like all the men in Pribyslavitz. And Runt got his money from the chief, and the chief had the coin minted.
Who's the chief? The bandit leader?
Bandit? If he heard you say that, he'd have your head on a spike. That's the kind of man he is. Nobody knows much about him, though. Only that he ain't Czech.
So he's a foreigner? German?
Don't think so. For sure he ain't Czech. And he's got plenty of coin. I'd stake my neck on it. He's got noble blood in his veins.
Judging by how he looks?
More by the way he talks. Any man can dress up like nobility, but he spoke all la-di-da, like a lord.
Where's that chief of yours now?
I've no idea. After Pribyslavitz, he ordered us to raid Memória, but he wasn't with us. He went off who knows where. I don't reckon he'll be out of your hair for long, though.
So the chief is in command of all these operations?
You could say. I'd say you're looking at it all wrong, though.
How's that?
You ask who's in charge and who answers to who, only this ain't some noble court. There was all sorts of gangs in Pribyslavitz, big and small. Robber barons who had their own brigades calling them my lord, and common footpads who hadn't a pot to piss in. Men came, men went. Lots of squabbles, the occasional murder. Old cronies and old rivals were meeting. You know what I mean?
I suppose so.
It was one big muddle. The main thing was nobody asked questions. I didn't give a damn who the chief was, or what he had in mind, or whether he had one ball or two. All I was interested in was the coin.
Uh-huh. How did you know about Pribyslavitz? Who took you there?
A fellow by the name of Moorcock. We met near Kuttenberg. I was robbing burghers who were fleeing the town from Sigismund's army. We got to talking and he told me about Pribyslavitz.
Why did you attack Memória?
The chief himself gave us the order. I reckon he wanted to show the local lords he was nowhere near finished.
So he's planning more raids?
The chief's always planning something. Pribyslavitz was only the start.
So you knew the coin was counterfeit?
Course I did. I brought those groschen to Pribyslavitz, along with a few other things.
Did you? And where did the forgeries come from?
Like, where were they made? I don't know. Some merchant by the name of Menhart gave them to me. We used to meet at the charcoal piles near Rovna, by the crossroads there. As it happens, I'm supposed to be meeting him there about now.
So Menhart's waiting there?
Might be, might not. He could have heard what happened in Pribyslavitz and decided not to show.
And does this Menhart know where the coin comes from?
How should I know? To me, he's just another link in the chain. I deal with him, and I never ask who he deals with. Just like he knows nothing about me.
I see. So I suppose there's no point asking you if you know any more about him.
It'd be a waste of breath. All he did was give me the coin, and then we went our separate ways.
Who else knows about the money?
Apart from the chief, Menhart, Runt and me, there was a few others. The men got some real money too with the false stuff. It'd be suspicious if they only had freshly minted coin.
You said you used to bring other things. What were they?
Letters. Menhart would give them to me for the chief. This time I was taking an answer back to Menhart too.
Have you still got that letter?
Aye. The yokels round here ain't got much interest in correspondence, apparently.
Give it to me then.
I'd be delighted.
What were the letters about?
If I knew how to read, I wouldn't be trusted to carry letters, would I? I took them from Menhart to the chief and back. That's all.
That's all I need to know for now.
For now, for the love of Christ, boy, don't let the executioner interrogate me. I've already told you everything I know.
I can't deny you've been cooperative. I'll do my best to see you get a quick end.
Henry! I think old Straw's come for the brigand.
Step back from that Eden, young fella.
But you can't kill me. Not just like that.
Shut the fuck up, you weasel, and keep it fucking shut. You don't even get a say.
Calm down, Straw. He won't escape justice. After all, he's...
Don't stand in my way, Melikar.
Let Henry decide. He's the one who saved his life.
Let's talk about it.
To hell with that. That Orson killed my boy. He won't leave Merhayed alive.
Listen to me, Straw. That isn't going to help anyone. You're a decent man, not a killer. Think of your wife.
Now where's the justice in that? My boy cut down at his youth. Didn't even have a chance to marry. And that cutthroat swine left walking the earth.
Don't worry, he won't escape justice. Surely you don't think Sir Radzig will just let him go?
What's Sir Radzig to me? You won't even let me avenge the death of my own son. Take him then. Take him and leave me with nothing but my grief.
I promise you he'll suffer for what he did.
Be quiet and go quickly before I change my mind.
I'll kill him.
You'll learn what it is to suffer, you filthy dog. What's that, young fella? He's not helping.
God be with you.
Farewell.
I can't stand it anymore.
My respects to you, sir.
We found...
And?
You should check where...
It'd be hard to point...
I had my...
The bastards...
I could do with a bite to eat.
I have to eat something. My insides are shriveled up with the hunger.
Farewell.
You must be up to no good, sneaking around in the dark.
Henry! God save. What can I...
Take care.
Could do with a bite to eat.
What the... He's stealing! Watch out! A thief! Help! Arrest that thief! Don't move a finger!
All right, you win.
Got you at last.
What?
So the thief takes us all for fools. I'll show you how we deal with poor innocent me's here. This definitely won't come cheap.
Look, I'll tell you the truth, but you mustn't tell anyone.
Well...
What are you doing here? Get lost, or you'll have me to reckon with. Hey! Be quick about it.
What are you up to? Thief!
Hey, you! Oh! You were seen thieving. You should have thought.
Just look, I can't.
Well. Hey, you've no business here. Clear off. Hey. Well, I never. Someone there.
My God, I see someone stealing. There's a thief here. I see a thief. God! Help! Arrest that thief!
You there, stop! You, stop right where you are. Surrender! You've committed a crime and I'm arresting you. Someone... this deaf...
Just look.
What are you doing here? Get lost, or you'll have me to reckon with.
Hey, what are you doing here? Clear off quick or I'll throw you out. What in the...
Hey, you!
Guard! Come here, quick!
You.
There's a thief
Stop
over there!
Where you are. Ah, shit! Someone saw you... Well, you... Well...
What the hell was that?
What the hell? Trying to rob me.
Good day to you.
How's it looking, Melikar?
I'm glad to see you, Henry. I'd like to thank you again. Everyone is cured. It's nothing short of a miracle.
Oh, that's a relief. You've suffered enough. We've all suffered enough.
God's truth. You know, the folk here are truly grateful. They'd have you and Nicodemus canonized if they could. They brought me gifts for the two of you. I wasn't keen on the idea at first. We're not left with much since the livestock died. But since you're here...
No. I can't possibly accept that. Give it all back, Melikar. With my thanks.
That's kind of you. I'm glad you appreciate our situation. Things are tough, all right.
I understand. I'm just glad everything turned out well.
So am I, lad. So am I. Farewell. I pray to God the worst is over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greetings, Henry. I hear you on the rat-eye tourney. Well done, lad.
I've returned from Merhoyed, sir.
How does it look there?
I brought them help from the monastery. Brother Nicodemus and Johanka from Skalitz. Fortunately, Nicodemus was able to cure the disease. Well, at least what he's doing looks promising so far.
Thank Christ. Some good news for a change. What about the captive? Did you question him?
He was infected too.
I see. Did he survive?
Fortunately, he survived and I had a chance to question him.
What did you find out?
He was transporting the false coins to Pribyslavitz. He got them from some merchant called Menhart.
I don't know him.
Neither do I. But I know where the money's handed over. It's not far from Rovna, and this Menhart should be waiting there about now.
Excellent, Henry. We mustn't let this opportunity slip through our fingers. You go there and put pressure on this Menhart to tell us what he knows. Don't go yet. There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Farewell.
You haven't disappointed me. Nothing against Bernard, Robard, or any of those others. But none of them could find out as much as you. At least not without beatings and torture. And that doesn't always work. You're a godsend, lad.
Thank you, sir.
Now go and find out who's behind everything, and then we'll deal with them.
Yes, sir. Sir.
What is it?
Sometimes I ask myself what it all means. Why does God allow such things to happen? All this slaughter and revenge, over and over.
It's a hard question. I'm no theologian. But long ago I came to the conclusion that the only thing that makes sense is that it's all a trial. Life is one long series of problems to solve. The more you solve, the better a man you become.
I never thought about it that way.
Well, just look at the pampered ones who have no concerns in life, like young Lord Capon, for instance. I shudder to think how he will rule when his time comes. Tribulations spawn in life over and over again, and we must stand our ground and face them. So, I go to Sasso and solve this one.
You can rely on me, sir.
Good luck, son. God bless you. What troubles you?
May I be of service, my lord?
Yes, Henry. Chief Engineer Pfeiffer has been asking for someone reliable to assist him.
The chief engineer? Is it about Skalitz?
In a manner of speaking. Master Pfeiffer has, well, evil forebodings. I think he may want to send you to the Skalitz mines.
Can they really be restored?
Everything can be rebuilt with enough will and resources. Well, everything except a man. You'll get the details from Chief Engineer Pfeiffer. For the time being, consider yourself his handyman.
Certainly. Where do I find him? Is he here in the castle?
Where? Now that's a good question. He went to Sasso to deal with something there. Most likely at the inn.
Well, thank you. I'll go and see him straight away.
Good luck, Hal. May the Lord watch over you. I'm honored that a knight...
Is there someone here who...
Of course. How good are you?
I'm a beginner.
Doesn't matter. Then, meanwhile, I'll... God be... Right, archers, let's begin. The contest is over. Henry here is the winner.
Is there someone here who...
Sure. How good are you?
I shot a few...
Then you'll have no... Meanwhile, I'll... May the Lord... Right, archers, let's begin. Contest over, archers.
Hey, you're not allowed to walk around.
I'd like to enroll...
You'll have to wait a few days until Sir Hanush announces another one.
You there! Hey, what are you... Well, you won't forget...
You make...
My God! What are you doing? Stop that, you magpie! Thief!
God be with you, lad. What can I do for you?
Master Fafar, Sir Radzig sent me to you.
Did he? He must think highly of you.
I do the best I can.
That's good, because this is damned important. Silver's our most valuable asset.
How can I help with these, evil forebodings of yours?
Sir Radzig may make light of it, but a large quantity of silver has been discovered hereabouts, and no one is guarding the Skullets mines, the most likely source.
You really think someone could be stealing the silver from the mines? I would have thought that would be quite a job, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. Which is why I'd like you to go and check out not only the mine gallery, but also the yard with the smelter and the waterworks. See what kind of state it's all in, and if anything looks suspicious.
Is that the yard next to the Skalitz mill?
That's the one. I don't know what state it's in now. There used to be a stock of charcoal and smelted silver there.
A silver store? Could there really be any left?
I doubt it. I'd be surprised if it was still standing at all.
What about these waterworks? What's there?
A stamping mill and washing troughs. They're on the bend in the river below the castle. You can't miss them. There are big tanks and equipment all around.
You said mine gallery. Just one?
Boy, there's such a maze there that it would take a week to crawl through the place. There's only one gallery I'm interested in, at the foot of the hill by a small fish pond.
Why just that one?
Because I was expecting to find a scene there. All the indications pointed to it. So if anyone is stealing silver, it'll be right there.
Should I be expecting trouble then?
Well, I definitely wouldn't treat the job like a visit to church on Sunday. You could find yourself facing a pack of hungry dogs trailing the army, or a band of brigands.
I see. Well, you and Sir Radzig can rely on me. That's all clear. I'll get going.
God be with you.
Hey, you!
Stop!
Halt!
Surrender! Don't move up.
You committed a violation. You're under...
You! Stop right where you
You
are.
were seen in the act of lockpicking. You should have thought...
Just my luck. Look, I can't tell you anymore.
But that won't help you.
All right.
You've paid for your crimes. Give me back the stone.
Alright everyone, today's video is going to be a repository of all the different stats and skills in Kingdom Come Deliverance and how best to level each and every one of them. I could have broken this down into a bunch of different segments, 10 minutes each, and kind of maximized the amount of content that I was producing, but I would have had to repeat myself and it wouldn't have been as valuable. So I opted to go for everything in one single video. So that being considered, please drop a like if you find it helpful. First up is main level, and this is actually a product of all of your different skills. So based on what your strength, agility, vitality, etc. are, your main level will increase. There's no way that I know of to directly raise just your main level, but as you're completing activities in any other area of the game, this will increase. So keep that in mind. Main level is an isolated factor in this. The first place to go is Captain Bernard right here, and you're going to see him in a lot of my different videos and a lot of other people's videos and guides as well, because he is such an important character in the game. So Captain Bernard is going to be your training source for pretty much every single combat stat. If we go over here to our character sheet, our player sheet, then I'll be able to show you can train strength here, agility, vitality. You can train, if you go over to combat, you can train defense, warfare, axe, mace, sword, and unarmed. You can train all of these different things, and I'll explain how right now. To train strength in particular, you will need to have a strength-based weapon equipped. So if I go over to my inventory, you can see that I have this heavy warhammer. If you hit the item info button, you can then see that the minimum strength required is 10. That means that this is a strength-based weapon. If I were to equip this and then enter into combat and training combat against Sir Bernard, I would be able to train the strength stat in particular. You can select training combat with a real weapon, which would then use your currently equipped strength-based weapon, and you would have to enter combat. You would get injured, you'd have to go heal, but that's one way to do it. And the other method is to select training combat with a practice weapon, and then specifically select the mace, since the mace is a strength-based item. So select this, and you can jump in to training that will then raise your strength level in particular. There are also a variety of other ways to train strength. You can use any other weapon in combat. There's a variety of other activities as well to varying degrees of efficiency where you will passively gain strength experience, but this is the fastest way that I know of to gain strength XP in particular when you are trying to target that skill. Next up is agility, and yet again, this is Captain Bernard. You simply need to equip an agility-based weapon. So if I go to my weapons here, you can see that I have a Robber Baron sword. If I select info, the minimum agility required is 9. Therefore, this is an agility-based short sword, which you then equip and then train against him. Like I said before, during the mace section of this video, you can go for real weapon combat. If we are to talk to him right here, we can train with a real weapon. That will select the weapon that you have equipped. Or you could go for training combat with a practice weapon and select the short sword, since that is agility based. Either way, you will be training warfare, you'll be training your main level, and you'll be training, in particular, agility. Since so many of these skills are trained at Captain Bernard, since they are combat based, I'm just going to knock them out right now. The best way to train defense is to equip a shield, enter into combat with him in a training role, and then simply wait for him to do combos and block them. That's the best way to train your defense stat. You can also train it by fighting bandits and various other mercenaries, but Captain Bernard is the most reliable and quickest way. So defense, equip a shield, any weapon at all with a shield, and simply block attacks. Warfare, simply fight in any capacity. Just queue against him with any weapon equipped for any amount of time, and you'll be training your warfare skill. With an axe, pretty self-explanatory there. Simply equip an axe and then fight against him. With a mace, we already covered that. And with a sword, same deal. Equip one, fight against him. You will be then training your sword skill. Also, unarmed, he has an option to train unarmed if you scroll all the way down to the bottom. So that covers all of the combat stats. The lesson here is that Captain Bernard is singularly probably the most important NPC in the entire game. So if you want to train anything that has to do with combat and also some other augmented skills besides that, which will also get some residual experience gain, then come to him and practice against him for hours on end, and you will become insanely strong super, super fast. Next up are some more interesting stats that hopefully will provide some valuable information since combat is so straightforward. You have Vitality. Now, Vitality is going to sound a little bit dumb, but basically the way that you train this, especially in early levels, is you simply jump up and down. It may sound kind of weird, and it might not make a lot of sense, but you simply jump up and down in a stationary spot, and you will be training your Vitality stat. Especially early on in the game, you'll train it very quickly. Another way that you can do this, if you don't want to do that, is you can run over to any area where you vault over a fence or a low rock wall or something like that, and you simply climb over repeatedly back and forth. This will train your Vitality stat, and it will do so very quickly, especially early on. Now, there are other ways to train the Vitality stat, but all of them, kind of give other experience as well, and this is the only way that I know of to target specifically just Vitality and then train that. You can train it while you're in combat, you can train it, in various other ways, some ways that I'm probably not even aware of, but jumping up and down and vaulting over things repeatedly is one of the fastest ways to train up your Vitality to get some really interesting perks, like for instance, Revenant. Your health will regenerate gradually. I think that that's probably one of the most valuable things in the game. I have not yet unlocked it, but I am angling for that pretty hardcore. There's some really interesting, perks and traits in the Vitality tree, so training this up early on can be really helpful. Next up is speech, and this is another skill that will gradually train kind of no matter what you're doing. Over the course of your whole gameplay experience, it will raise to a significantly higher level than what it even is right now on my screen. But the way to raise this is by selecting every possible dialogue option within the game every time you talk to someone. There are places where you can haggle. There are places where you'll have multiple more dialogue options than anywhere else. A great place is something like a tavern. You can come here and play dice, and you can haggle with this guy, and then there'll be usually another patron or citizen over at a different table. You can continuously haggle with them and play dice for small amounts of money over and over, which will raise your speech skill. You can likewise go to any vendor, and there are a lot of vendors in each major town or city. And you can simply go in and buy something and haggle with them and just talk to every NPC that you see and select every dialogue option. There's no targeted specific way to raise this other than simply running around a town and talking to everyone, and it's not going to be that quick. This isn't a skill that you can level insanely fast, but it should get the job done if you're dedicated. Next up, we have Charisma, Visibility, Conspicuousness, Noise, and Speed, and these are all a product of other skills and the items that you're wearing. So Charisma is impacted by what items you have on and how dirty they are, whether or not there's blood on your weapon, etc., etc. So if we were to go over to my inventory, we can go to my armor, we can see that I have a decorated piece of armor that would raise my Charisma. I can unequip various other items and raise it yet again. Individual things, whether they're dirty or clean, is going to impact that. Whether they're fancy or common folk would wear them, peasants would have them on. That's all going to impact Charisma. So your stat down there is a product of all the items that you're wearing, and you can't actually raise that specifically without getting better gear. You can't go and train your Charisma stat. One thing you can do to temporarily raise your Charisma by 2 levels is to go to a bathhouse located in any major city and signified by the water pouring into a bucket. Go to the proprietor of that establishment, and there will be certain services available to you. My horse is in the way, I can't really talk to her. Here we go. There's certain services that will give you a boost to your Charisma, as seen on screen right here. Now, I won't demonstrate that, but after it's done... just kidding. I wonder if I'm going to get demonetized for that, though. Rip. After that's done, you will see that you have a 2 Charisma boost, and that's demonstrated by the lion that's down to the left of your health bar. This is temporary, but you can do this anytime you need to go talk to vendors or have a boost to Charisma, and that's the only way that I know of, other than clothing, to do that. Next, you have visibility. Again, like charisma, this is a product of your clothing. All you need to do is scroll through all of the different items that you're wearing and see if they affect visibility. As I scroll up here, I can find different, pieces of gear that will affect visibility by varying degrees or amounts. And it's just a matter of finding which ones have the least visibility and equipping them, or the most visibility, depending on what you're trying to do. Next is conspicuousness. Again, same deal. Go through your items and find the things that are more or less conspicuous and then equip them. Conspicuousness is something that I don't really find to be all that troubling in the game, regardless of how conspicuous you are, and there are certain items that raise it by a huge amount or lower it by a huge amount. Noise is a product of how much armor you're wearing. It is a product of strength, gold to earn money. So if you competition. Side note, this is also a really good way if you're good at using the bow. This is also named clothing that you're wearing. Moving on, we have the combat skills, which we've covered most of already. The only one we have not talked about is the bow, and there is a very good way to train the bow skill. The bow training method is to come here to to this place right here, and there's a guy named Vatsek, who you then talk to and you compete in an archery competition. Side note, this is also a really good way if you're good at using the bow and arrow to earn gold, to earn money. So if you enter into this, you will have your arrows paid for. You will be able to compete for varying amounts against other archers, and it will be the fastest way to earn experience. You can bet varying amounts. I would recommend going with 10 if you're early on in the bow tree and you're not very good yet, and then 50 if you're trying to earn money and train your bow skill later on. All you have to do is shoot the arrows into the logs. All the arrows are paid for, and it's not super difficult to do, but it's also not super easy. You will be gaining experience. They're moving targets, and it's something that can very quickly raise your bow skill, much better than many other areas in the game, without any cost. In fact, you'll be earning money while you do it, and it is a really, really efficient method. You can probably get over level 10 in a matter of 1 to 2 hours if you are good, as well as earn a couple thousand groschen or gold during that duration. Even if you get second place, you'll get your money back and you won't lose anything. You don't necessarily even have to win, but you can compete in this contest over and over, and it's a really, really great method. You can also get some bow experience from the huntsman in Rate, or any other huntsman for that matter, signified by the horn icon on the map. Simply talk to him if you are in good standing, and the same with all other trainers. You'll get some experience for the bow in various intervals. Now we move on to the more interesting part, which is the actual skills. We've covered main stats and combat. Now it's time for skills. You have alchemy. Alchemy is a little bit difficult to train when compared to some other stats, because you do need to know how to read in order to most efficiently go through and raise the level. The way that you learn to read, I've actually gotten a couple of questions about this, is if you go over to the quest log, there is a specific quest called Mightier Than the Sword, and you need to talk to a scribe in Uzits. I'm definitely butchering that pronunciation. But if we go to the map here, I will show you where it is. If we go to the map, you can see that over here in Uzits, up top in the top right hand section of the map, if we zoom in here, but I'll talk about making potions and brewing, and then use the recipe book to make as many potions as you possibly can. There are certain perks that will increase the amount of potion yield that you get from using the recipe book, but that's the most efficient method. You can also brew them yourself. There's a timer, and you can put different ingredients in different slots, but that's a lot more complicated and takes a lot more time. The next way to train alchemy, but this is a one-off and does not give repeatable experience, and it does cost coin, is to get training from herbalists. There's one in most major cities. There are some on farms and homesteads out in the country. Another character, they are quite high. Activity, just take a beer before you clear a patch. Time. It appears that there is an infinite spawn of rabbits, as well as a deer spawn across the road, another deer spawn up and to the left of it. There's a lot of other animals, but there's also an infinite supply of rabbits. So you can level your hunting skill and your bow and archery skill, as well as gather a large amount of coin simultaneously if you come to this location right here. You can also train your hunting skill the exact same way that you train the bow skill at the exact same NPC. So Huntsman Berthold, however you say his name, you can talk to him and you can get some hunting experience in addition to bow experience. Next is lockpicking, but this skill is actually currently being overhauled and changed by the developers. It's very hard to do on console. It might be easier on PC, but it's extremely difficult with a controller. And it's very hard to train. There's no one specific area where you can repeatedly lockpick the same thing. There is some training from a vendor. I'll talk about that in just a second. But one good room that I found, again, it's not that great because there's only 4 chests, but is the Armory in Talmberg. There are 2 hard chests up top, and then down below, 2 ladders down, there's 2 more chests. But those are one-offs, and once you've done them, you can't really, do them again, and you're not going to get that much experience. So lockpicking is currently undergoing a change, so it's not necessarily the best method to level it this way. But just find and lockpick various doors and chests. Look for easy ones and try and do them when no one is around. But lockpicking is getting an overhaul, so this one's kind of a moot point. There's not really that much information that I can give. You can also train lockpicking at any one of the millers, but like every other trainer or person that sells services of that kind, it does cost some coin, and you can only do it one time for each degree, each level. You can do beginner, slightly advanced, advanced, and master. You can only do that one time, costs some money, but that's another way to gain some alternative XP. There's a miller here at the Rattay Mill. There's another miller over here to increase your maintenance skill. However, there are other ways. You can get repair kits for blacksmith's items. You can also get armor repair kits at varying points in the game or from looting. And if you use these more often, you can gain levels for the maintenance. It's kind of a pain to train, but it does have a very, very in-depth skill tree and a lot of perks associated. So pickpocketing on this character is very low for me, but it can be a really valuable skill to use. And you want to be pickpocketing beggars, drunk people, and people that are asleep, because you really don't want them to be running to a guard like I do. Reload immediately after that, and then after you've reloaded, you can try again over. Though it does train a skill, in particular by some in the video when talking about alchemy map, you do gain levels very quickly. And side note, you can also take all of their gear and then sell all of that gear. You can do this anywhere you want on, but things can have a huge impact. I'll pin that to the top, or I'll favorite it, or somehow I'll make sure that it comes to the top of the comment feed, and people can then see that, because that's also valuable feedback. A lot of the times with this game in particular, now I'm noticing on my recent videos, people have very valuable feedback for it, and alternative methods of progression or different tips and tricks. So I will make sure that that goes to the top of the feed. If you have a different method that is better or just as good or just more fun, then let me know in the comments. You don't need to put.
Fala, galera, olha eu aqui de novo nos bastidores do investimento. É Pi, respondendo perguntas. Posso tirar todo o dinheiro da poupança e colocar no Tesouro Direto Selic tranquila? A pergunta é da Larissa Carmo. Larissa, olha, pode. Pode, claro. O Tesouro Direto Selic é um título do Tesouro Nacional, ou seja, risco de crédito o mais baixo do mercado, e que acompanha as taxas de juros diária. Então, o risco de mercado, de oscilação das taxas, também é um dos mais baixos. Então, resumindo, ele é tão conservador quanto a caderneta de poupança, em alguns casos até mais, dependendo de onde você tem o dinheiro na poupança. Então dá. Agora, vale a pena você entender o que é o Tesouro Direto, que é para você ficar tranquila mesmo. Então, o Tesouro Direto é você emprestar dinheiro para o Tesouro Nacional, que é o menor risco de crédito. Muita gente acha ainda que a poupança é garantida pelo governo. A poupança não é garantida pelo governo. Agora, o Tesouro, os títulos negociados no programa Tesouro Direto são. Por quê? A garantia é o Tesouro Nacional. Você está emprestando dinheiro para o Tesouro Nacional. Valeu? Se tiver mais dúvida, deixa aqui. Olha só, agora a pergunta é do Matheus Santos. Mara, explica qual é o problema com a capitalização. Por que ela é vista como um investimento tão ruim? Estamos falando de título de capitalização, não é isso, Matheus? Simplesmente não é investimento. O que é um investimento? Investimento é você comprar alguma coisa por um preço e vender lá na frente por um preço maior, né? Que você vai ter um ganho. Então, isso é a lógica do investimento. A capitalização, você compra um título de capitalização para concorrer a sorteios. Então, na partida, quando você quando você compra esse título, ele já morde um pedaço da sua aplicação. E a correção dele é muito baixa. E tem despesas para pagamento de prêmios e tal. Então, é o seguinte, capitalização, cara, é só para quem tem muita sorte ou então não é cunhado do gerente do banco que precisa vender capitalização. Capitalização não é investimento, é jogo. Vamos lá, Rafael Duarte. Mara, você poderia fazer um vídeo de exemplo, se você tiver 30 mil reais, como distribuir o investimento nestes fundos? Rafael, é o seguinte, como é que você distribui os investimentos nessas carteiras, né? Porque observa que aqui você tem carteiras, elas inclusive reúnem alguns fundos, né? Não só um fundo especificamente, é uma carteira de investimentos. Tem um gestor que escolhe diversos fundos e monta essa carteira. Como é que você escolhe? Qual dessas carteiras você quer? De acordo com o seu objetivo. Se esses 30 mil você quer guardar para quê? Né? São objetivos diferentes, você tem que ver qual é o seu objetivo. Olha que aqui tem independência financeira, objetivo de mais longo prazo, tem carro, tem casa, enfim, tem vários objetivos aqui. Então você escolhe quais são os seus objetivos, qual é o seu objetivo. E aí você vai distribuir de acordo com os seus objetivos. Por hoje é só, mas eu volto semana que vem com mais dúvidas. Se você tem dúvidas, deixa aqui. Críticas, reclamações, brigas, elogios, a gente está esperando, tá bom? Valeu!
É um pouco a experiência que eu tive, e aí eu já estou trazendo um livro que foi importante na minha infância, que é a série Harry Potter. Eu também enxergava tudo aquilo com muita nitidez na minha cabeça, todos os cenários, os personagens. Eu tinha a minha própria versão de todos os personagens. Quando foi feito o filme, a minha versão particular, só minha, por um tempo eu tentei fazer ela resistir, eu tentei continuar imaginando os personagens do jeito que eu imaginava, mas os filmes foram consolidando uma versão oficial. Oi gente, estamos de volta. Bom, eu abri o vídeo de hoje com esse trechinho de um vídeo que eu publiquei algumas semanas atrás, que falava sobre... Bom, tava falando de vários assuntos, mas o assunto principal do vídeo era que a Netflix tinha anunciado que ia adaptar 100 Anos de Solidão. E nesse trecho do vídeo eu falei que eu achava um pouco triste quando algum livro que eu gostava era adaptado, porque as imagens que eu tinha dos personagens e dos cenários na minha cabeça, com bastante nitidez, acabavam sendo substituídas pela versão oficial do filme, da série e assim por diante. Foi só um comentário que eu fiz em cima disso, mas me chamou a atenção uma mensagem que apareceu, um comentário nesse vídeo, de uma pessoa que se identificou como pode ser que sim, eu não sei se é homem ou se é mulher, mas ela marcou o trecho do vídeo que eu falo isso, 1 minuto 13:18, e escreveu: que inveja, minha mente não consegue criar imagens. Se eu fechar os olhos e tentar imaginar algo, não o vejo, nem mesmo a minha mãe. Meu cérebro só me envia sensações, tipo o tato, a voz, a risada, mas nada de imagem. Ler livros de história para mim é um sacrifício, pois é como se eu visse um filme vendado. Só sinto a atmosfera de uma praia ou a tensão entre as pessoas, mas nunca consegui ver nenhum personagem ou lugar. Por isso eu gosto das adaptações audiovisuais. E desse canal porque, mesmo nunca lendo, já que o livro não me apetece, você transmite as sensações sentidas durante a leitura e eu me emociono nas suas emoções. Bom, eu gostaria muito de saber o seu nome, mas eu não posso, porque você não se identifica, mas é o seguinte, esse seu comentário eu salvei assim que eu li e guardei para gravar esse vídeo, porque me parece, pelo que você descreve, que você é portador de uma condição que não é assim tão rara, que foi diagnosticada, na verdade, muito recentemente na história da psiquiatria, da neurociência, recentemente mesmo, assim, depois dos anos 2000, que é uma condição chamada afantasia, tudo junto, afantasia. Vocês sabem que quando uma palavra começa com um A, geralmente é negação do que vem em seguida, né? É um prefixo, acho que do grego. Então a fantasia é uma pessoa que não consegue ter fantasias. Ela tem vários graus, pelo que eu estudei. Na verdade não é muito fácil, inclusive, encontrar informações sobre isso. Não achei no YouTube nenhum vídeo em português falando sobre a fantasia, mas achei em outras línguas. E também achei artigos, reportagens. É uma condição que está começando a ser estudada agora, mas que você pode verificar agora mesmo se você tem essa condição. Basta saber se você se identifica com esse comentário. Quando você tenta imaginar algum objeto físico ou alguma pessoa, deixa eu imaginar um exemplo aqui, uma caneta. Pense numa caneta, não essa que eu tô mostrando, mas pense numa caneta Bic. Feche seus olhos e tente pensar numa caneta Bic. Você consegue enxergá-la na sua imaginação? Você consegue imaginar você pegando a sua caneta, tirando a tampa, colocando de novo? Você consegue imaginar uma tampa de caneta Bic toda mastigada por alguém que tem a mania de ficar mordiscando a caneta enquanto faz uma prova? Você consegue imaginar uma caneta Bic toda detonada, quebrada, sem a tampinha na ponta, uma caneta riscada, uma caneta com a carga quase terminando? Essas imagens vêm na sua cabeça com facilidade? Existe, dizem, né, quem estuda a fantasia, um espectro de capacidade de imaginação visual que pode partir, digamos, do 0 a 10, sendo 0 a incapacidade completa de enxergar imagens com a mente e 10 a capacidade tão absurda que você consegue ver, olhar para sua mão e ver uma caneta Bic aqui na frente. Você imagina uma caneta Bic e você praticamente vê como se ela fosse real. Eu acho até que isso não é muito comum, viu? Mas dizem que tem gente que tem uma imaginação. E eu não duvido, muitos desses artistas têm uma imaginação 3D que eu penso, nossa, é uma capacidade de visualizar coisas com a mente que eu mesma não possuo. Mas eu acho que de 0 a 10 eu tenho uma capacidade nível 7, nível 8 de imaginar coisas com a minha mente, e isso me ajuda bastante no meu trabalho lendo livros de ficção, porque eu consigo imaginar esses personagens. Não que eu tenha capacidade de pensar do zero, como fazem artistas que criam, né, de uma folha em branco, criam coisas novas e não. Eu pego referências com imagens que eu já tenho. Então, usando o exemplo do Harry Potter, por exemplo, quando eu era pequena, eu li as descrições do personagem do Hagrid, que eu com 10 anos não chamava de Hagrid, eu chamava de Hagrid. Eu imaginava o Hagrid, eles diziam que era um homem grande, gordo, quase um gigante, barbado, com cabelos compridos. Que imagem que eu tinha de referência? Eu tinha os quadrinhos do Asterix e do Obelix, que tem o Obelix, que é um personagem grande, gordo, com barba, ele tem um bigode, né? E um cabelão. Então eu imaginava algo parecido com o Obelix, claro que não igual, mas eu pegava a base do Obelix e pensava nas características do Hagrid e montava o personagem na minha cabeça. Depois que assisti o vídeo e vi o ator que interpreta o Hagrid, aí não tem jeito, agora sempre que eu penso nele, eu penso no ator. A minha imagem original, ela se perdeu, infelizmente. Era uma imagem toda minha, mas agora ela não vem mais com facilidade na minha imaginação. Eu acho que eu tenho, portanto, uma capacidade até que boa de criar imagens e de me lembrar de imagens com a minha mente. Mas tem gente, como é o caso dessa pessoa que fez esse depoimento, que quando tenta imaginar coisas, vê um grande vazio, não consegue enxergar nada. Ainda esse depoimento aqui diz que ele consegue sentir sensações, ele consegue sentir o tato das coisas, lembrar da voz, sentir talvez os cheiros, a atmosfera da praia. Isso é uma capacidade de fantasia, viu? Não é que você seja 100%, uma pessoa 100% desprovida de capacidade de fantasiar com a sua mente. Você tem uma capacidade, mas ela é mais restrita a outros sentidos que não o da visão. Agora, tem gente que não tem capacidade alguma nem de lembrar de sensações. Não consegue ouvir a voz de uma pessoa na mente, não consegue sentir o cheiro de café quando tenta sentir o cheiro de café na imaginação, ou não consegue nem mesmo tentar lembrar o sabor de alguma coisa, de uma pizza ou de um sorvete de morango. E eu confesso que para mim não é assim tão fácil me lembrar de sensações que não sejam a visão. Eu tenho muito mais facilidade de enxergar uma pizza marguerita na minha cabeça do que de lembrar, de sentir na minha língua o sabor de uma pizza só com a minha imaginação. Eu não tenho muito bem essa capacidade, não. E bom, e pode parecer bastante angustiante essa condição. eu encontrei no YouTube alguns depoimentos de pessoas que descobriram, já adultas, que tem essa condição de afantasia. E elas descobriram isso depois de terem passado a vida inteira sem se dar conta de que elas tinham alguma coisa de diferente dos outros. Elas passaram a vida inteira achando que ninguém, nunca nem pensando no assunto, né? Mas quando perguntaram para os amigos, escuta, quando você tenta imaginar uma praia, você vê a praia? E as pessoas respondem, sim, eu vejo a praia. E ele fica, como assim? Eu achei que ninguém conseguisse ver a praia como eu não consigo. Então, é uma condição bastante comum, eu imagino que algumas pessoas comentarão aqui que também não conseguem imaginar muito bem, mas é uma coisa que também não muda muito a vida da pessoa, não é muito incapacitante, talvez seja algo como ser daltônico. Muitas pessoas passam a vida inteira sem saber que são daltônicos, só vão descobrir, ou melhor dizendo, não a vida inteira, mas na hora de fazer um teste para tirar a carteira de motorista, aí elas vão descobrir que elas não têm muita facilidade para distinguir as cores de um semáforo, por exemplo. Ou não, às vezes elas passam realmente boa parte da vida sem perceber que elas não enxergam certas nuances de cor que outras pessoas enxergam. E isso não muda em nada a vida delas. Então, eu não tenho como passar um depoimento pessoal do que é ser uma pessoa que tem a fantasia, mas como eu não encontrei vídeos em português que falem sobre isso, eu espero que este vídeo ajude. Se você que está assistindo sentir que também tem um pouco de fantasia, descreve aqui nos comentários. Às vezes o seu comentário vai fazer com que outras pessoas se identifiquem e vejam, olha, eu não sou o único e tudo mais. E por causa disso também, como esse é um canal sobre livros, eu não posso deixar de comentar. Ao descobrir que existe essa condição de afantasia, as adaptações cinematográficas ou televisivas de obras literárias ganham toda uma nova importância. Eu achava, antes assim, como vocês viram no meu comentário do vídeo sobre a adaptação de 100 Anos de Solidão, eu achava que não tem necessidade, o livro já se basta, o livro é tão maravilhoso, ele já se basta. Mas diante de depoimentos como esse, eu vejo como eles são importantes. Para pessoas que têm menos capacidade de imaginação, de visualização, essas adaptações do cinema e para a TV podem ser mesmo muito úteis. Sem falar que elas são importantes mesmo para quem tem capacidade de imaginar. A gente não vai imaginar completamente, tão perfeitamente como um filme em si. E o exemplo que eu dou é desse livro que eu li recentemente, que é O Se Eu Fechar os Olhos Agora, do Ednei Silvestre, que está no ar agora, como uma minissérie da TV, e por mais que eu tente imaginar os personagens, é óbvio que vê-los ali na televisão, com uma produção de luxo, super bem feito, com uma fotografia maravilhosa, é claro que as sensações que assistir a uma série me proporcionam são maiores do que a minha própria imaginação pode me dar quando eu li o livro. Então eu imaginei todos esses personagens, mas ao vê-los eu tive, obviamente, uma explosão de sensações que só a minha imaginação não era capaz de produzir. Então, com isso, eu concluo dizendo que eu sou obrigada a rever minhas opiniões. Eu sempre achei que adaptações de livros para o cinema eram úteis mais pra gente imaginar coisas muito distantes, por exemplo, no passado, ou de outras culturas que a gente não conhece. Por exemplo, alguma coisa que se passa na Rússia ou no Japão ou na Idade Média, algo que a gente não tem referências de todo dia. Mas hoje eu vejo que essas adaptações ainda têm uma vantagem a mais, elas exercem um papel ainda mais importante para pessoas que não conseguem imaginar muito bem personagens e histórias de ficção na cabeça. Então é isso, eu espero que vocês tenham gostado dessa discussão, embora eu não seja nenhuma especialista, eu achei que seria uma coisa interessante de compartilhar com vocês. A gente se vê no vídeo da sexta-feira com uma resenha inédita para vocês. Muito obrigada por terem assistido esse vídeo. Façam seus comentários, hein? Eu tô esperando depoimentos no vídeo de hoje. Beijo para todo mundo e até mais.
My dudes, what is happening, man? I recently did a video called Drawing Characters is Easy, and it was such a stupendously effective clickbaity title that I'm back with a sequel, baby. I'm going back to the well. In that video, I talked about how stick figures are basically just a early phase, a rudimentary understanding of figure drawing. And I wanted to elaborate on that. There were some people that really got a lot out of that video because it kind of showed you a roadmap. It's like, yeah, if I can draw stick figures, I can develop this. I can develop this into poses and bodies. And then I can start like posing my characters however I want. But I didn't quite get to that in that last video, so I wanted to do a follow-up where I explained how you can turn your more interesting poses into silhouettes and use them for a basis for drawing more interesting posed figures that aren't just straight on, you know what I'm saying? So here you can see me doing a stick figure and how I kind of draw these basic cylinders and give a little bit of mass to my stick figures. Many artists will use a thing they call an armature, which is basically a little wooden figure. And this is kind of what we're drawing. We're taking our stick figure and we're literally implying as if the limbs are made of little cylinders and there are little round nubs for the joints. And we're just posing out our body with our stick figure with our little armature. And we're adding a little bit of thickness to those limbs to create some interesting poses. And we're going to build up our pose from this foundation. Again, I'm not digging into details like how the shoulder muscle fits with the other parts or any of that. I'm just looking at as if these are cylinders or they're stick figures, but with a little bit more mass. I'm not going to dig into anatomy too much in this one. This is just about finding cool poses. Like in this shot, you can see he's clearly kind of doing this sort of a run kind of a thing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull up some screenshots from other games or from things that we've seen. These can be photographs of people at the park. These can be real life drawings. In this case, I'm doing a Ryu from Street Fighter. And I just pulled up this really cool, interesting shot of him dropping a Hadouken because there's some neat energy in this shot. And notice I'm not like tracing over it. I'm looking at how it breaks down into a stick figure first. I'm literally drawing my stick figure, but with a couple of differences. There's a big circle or a big like pillow shape for his chest, and then the twigs of the arms come off of that. And I'm just gonna do little lines to imply the hands coming out from the wrist. And I noticed that like the leg could move a little bit more forward. I'm trying to pay attention to the energy. And then once I've got a stick figure, I start adding a little bit of mass to it. I start adding, like there's a little bit of musculature implied. I'm not trying to be precise, man. I'm just trying to capture the balance of weight. You'll notice because his front leg, I guess that would be the leg on the right, is kind of leaning forward. It's angled straight down because that's where all that weight from his arms is going to rest. All that weight is going to hang on that part of his leg. So it's got to be planted firmly down on the ground. If that was sticking up in the air or still in the air, it would feel like he's about to fall forward. And our subconscious mind fills in the balance of things. So even if you have something like all of the weight of a character is on his right leg, then his right hip is going to stick up just a little bit higher than his other hip. When you're doing these studies of looking at cool poses from video games or from still shots of movies, try to pay attention to how weight is balanced and try to pay attention to proportions as well. So if, for instance, something's coming right at the camera, it's going to be much larger. And for instance, also, one of the other things that I want you to pay attention to is the angle of the chest and the line that the spine creates. So you can actually draw a line through the spine to create the central spine of your stick figure. And then that gives you a lot of information to start to balance out your other elements. So in here, when we were talking about balance earlier, you'll notice that her leg is way up because she's flying through the air. This shot implies that she's flying through the air. She's not landed flat. She's not standing flat. If she was standing flat, that her leg that is on the left side of the drawing, it would be her left leg, would be going straight down, and it would, if she were perfectly balanced, it would actually go to the middle of the drawing and it would plant firmly on the ground. But because it's in the air, the implication is she's still flying through the air and she's got this cool kick going. Now, doing these studies is also really great for you to understand when an object goes behind another object. You'll notice like her back arm, her right arm, which is technically we're looking at it, it would be on the left side of the drawing because she's facing to the left. So her back arm is actually behind her body. So you only see her fist at her hip level. And so what we're doing when we're doing these little stick figure drawings, these little silhouettes, is we're trying to capture the energy and the balance of what we're seeing in our reference image. Now, the trick is going to be when you can start to get these poses down really fast and when you can start to create them on your own without looking at reference. But I think that little practices like this are really excellent training for you to develop that skill. Because a lot of times people say, oh, just keep practicing, just keep practicing. But what does that mean? It means looking at what's working in something else and dissecting it and trying to break down, why is it working? So in this case, for instance, if you're doing this body pose and you're like, yeah, I like it, but like I like how the leg is going up like that. I never draw figures that way, but maybe I do want her to be planted on the ground. Try to fill that in yourself and try to like figure out how is the figure going to be balanced? How is the weight of your image going to be balanced if you move an arm around? Like you could have her back arm facing out kind of Jean-Claude Van Damme style as she's flying through the air doing a flying kick or something like that. Or you could have the other leg bent up. You can pull up lots of reference images from other films and do all kinds of sheets full of little stick figures of poses of characters flying through the air doing kicks. And in doing this, you'll also begin to build an internal library, a visual library in your mind of more feminine type of movements and more masculine type of movements and different body sizes and proportions. You'll notice some characters have bigger muscles and bigger chest areas, or they move differently. Like the more feminine way is to kind of like have the ankles bent outward sometimes, whereas a more masculine aerial kick might have that leg bent up and inward. You could pull up a cool ninja game or something like that and take some screenshots and try to do body pose studies of those. And if you really want to do characters that are doing like cool stealthy poses or ninja assassinations, or even characters flying back after getting kicked, this kind of stuff is like basically your thumbnails for storyboards, comic books, animation. All of it comes from doing these kind of stick figure poses that have cool, interesting energy in the poses. I love this shot of Ryu because he's kind of turning his torso just a little bit. And you'll notice I kind of implied it in that line down the middle of his chest. I'm drawing in like the front line of his chest to kind of show that his chest is facing away from the direction he's facing. His legs, the angle of his hips are actually facing away from the angle that his fists and his eyes are facing. And that means he's like kind of coiled back, ready to strike. This is a cool shot because it kind of implies his front hand is relaxed, but his back hand, the one that's on the left side of the drawing, which is technically his right arm, it's sprung back and it's building tension. And because his hips are turned, it's about to unleash. It's about to spin into action. If you want to go even one step further with this, do little animations, do frame-by-frame animations. Check out my video on animating in Photoshop, and you can do the next frames, the several next frames to actually show the stick figure punching, and you'll get a really good understanding of how to build out the body from stick figures. This is very much an animation technique that a lot of animators use when they're just roughing out their animations. They'll rough it out with a stick figure. Now I'm going to time lapse here, and you can see how I'm building out bodies from these reference images from Street Fighter characters. These are just still shots, and you can use whatever you want to build out your bodies. These were just really cool shots because they had a lot of energy, and I'm paying special attention to the angle of the spine, the springiness, like if the character's twisting and it looks like they're building up tension or energy and they're about to turn it. And so for instance, here I noticed it didn't have the energy that the reference had. So what was I missing? So I moved that leg out a little bit further. I turned the hips just a little bit more. I angled the chest so that the head is a little bit lower. And so it looked a little bit more like she was springing into action. When you see the body turned that way, when you see the hips turned that way, it gives this implication that it's about to spring forward. It's about to unload that energy. The next thing I did, the next step, was to just do silhouettes. And the more you know about anatomy, which is a different lesson, the more you're going to be able to fill this part in. But if you build out the silhouettes, then you've got yourself some really great groundwork for doing some larger images or developing your own poses, you know, using these as a basis. Speaking of which, immediately after you've done a bunch of sketches like this of studies of cool poses, you should do your own stick figures. In this case, I wanted to do a kind of an interesting yoga or kung fu pose. So I drew out my sketched out my stick figure, and you'll notice this is a little bit different than the one that I started with. The proportions are a little bit more reasonable. You'll notice the angle of the hips. I wanted all the weight to be on that leg that's on the right side of the drawing, his left leg as he's facing us. And I wanted to draw the hip of the leg that's hitting the ground sticking up a little bit higher, and then it balances out to a perfect balance as you get closer, higher to the top of the drawing. And there you have a really interesting pose, and my knowledge has increased. Even if I had forgotten some things, my knowledge has increased from doing these little studies. And you can see that now I don't even need the reference. I can make some pretty interesting, cool little poses just based on the silhouettes and poses that I had just done studies from. And you can use these as basis poses for some of your own really impressive final paintings as you dig in to add more detail. And you can start to pull up specific reference. So for instance, if you want to start digging into anatomy right away, you can look up, well, I need a bicep at that angle, or I need a head at that specific angle of my silhouette, and use that as a study to build out your drawing from this little simple silhouette figure drawing. One last thing that I want to mention is you'll notice that I didn't trace over any of these photos or any of these screenshots. I use them as a study, and there's a big difference between a study and the final product. So don't go and trace a bunch of poses from other things and then pass them off as your own. It's going to bite you in the ass. When you do a study from something else, you should showcase where you got that sketch from, but it's even more effective if you do the study and then you put the original away and you go from there. Use it as a bit of a crutch, as an aid, as a developmental tool. But I might take one of these poses, and without looking at the reference anymore, I might take that to a final painting, but I'll probably most likely end up modifying the hell out of it. I might move a leg or move an arm. It's just a starting point from a stick figure to get things going, to get a cool pose. So there's your task. I want you to sit down and do a sheet full of these. And I want you to tag me over on Twitter, and I will retweet you if you got some really cool stuff in there. And that'll get the community inspired to design some of their own cool poses. Think about the character you're drawing. If it's a cool Street Fighter or something, he's going to have a cool Street Fighter pose. That'll be very different than, say, like a Spider-Man pose, for example. So if you want to check out any of my other tutorials, more in-depth, more advanced type of stuff, if you feel like this is too basic for you, I got some more advanced tutorials over on my Gumroad channel.
Hey,